Now, there is a potential idea that this movie could literally just be an adaptation of Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. Is this a game you all would actually want to see get remade? S is for subscribe, beautiful humans, you know just what to do. Hey beautiful humans, I'm RidersDX, and today we're going to talk about some recent SpongeBob news that I'm pretty interested in, and I'm even going to use my very crazy and absolutely ridiculous mind to kind of like formulate a theory as to what the next SpongeBob game could be like. So if you want to stick around for that theory, then be sure to watch to the very end. We've gotten our first looks at 2 different SpongeBob movies that are coming up actually, which is crazy. I feel like they're just shelling out SpongeBob movies like cake now. Because while SpongeBob's getting like a bigger like cinematic stamp in the market, Sponge on the Run wasn't really a great movie, so I'm a little nervous that these 2 movies coming up are just gonna be a little bit in terms of quality, but we'll just have to wait and see. So the first movie we got our first look at, and I think this came from like CinemaCon. I think both of these actually came from CinemaCon. The first one that we saw was the upcoming Sandy movie, which we already knew about. I think it's called Saving Bikini Bottom. That's the movie's name now. And the movie basically encapsulates SpongeBob and Sandy traveling up to the surface and going to Texas because apparently all of SpongeBob's friends are somehow in Texas now, which is very interesting. I wonder how that's gonna work. Is it gonna be kind of similar to what we saw in Sponge Out of Water, where there's some magical thing that led all the sea creatures to the surface world to confront that pirate? I wonder if it's going to be something similar to that. I'm very interested. The biggest thing that we saw from this was an actual first look at the movie, which is the screenshot that I'm showing over here, where you can see SpongeBob is right behind Sandy as she surfboards her way towards Texas. So first of all, I'm very happy to see the return of the clamshell sliding. That's a very important aspect that I'm really glad we're seeing again. It looks like it's got an animation style very similar to that of Sponge Out of Water, which I'm not mad about. I didn't mind the CGI animation of Sponge Out of Water. If that's what it's going to look like, then I really can't complain about that because it looks pretty solid from what I can tell. I do hope we get more of like Sandy's backstory. I think that's the most like interesting thing about this movie is like getting to know like where Sandy comes from. I would imagine that we would get like her parents like casted in this movie somewhat. Is there a reason she left Texas to go to Bikini Bottom in the first place? Like, is there any bad blood between her and her family members? Like, that's something that you could tell a story from. So I'm interested in seeing if that's an angle they're gonna take. But of course, it is kind of classified as like a spin-off movie, so I'm not gonna expect like a lot out of it. Like, arguably, I really shouldn't expect a lot from like these movies in the first place because I really was disappointed in Sponge on the Run. I didn't think that was a very good movie. It really just felt like a giant TikTok compilation, which, you know, TikTok is fine when it's in like, you know, increments of 5 seconds and such, but when it comes to like a faux movie like that, I'm just like not crazy about it. So what the fudge? That stupid cosmic monster. I can't. So I just hope that what they really focus on is telling like a good story with it. Sandy, you know, she's always a very like upbeat and like positive character. We don't really get to see like much of an ugly side to her aside from like when she's like being feral for some reason because of land creature like things like the hibernation episode for instance, but we don't really get to see her be actually emotionally like upset that much aside from like that first season episode where Sandy was really homesick about Texas. So if we can get more like stuff like that, that would be amazing. I would just love to like learn about like Sandy's upbringing like that. But I don't know. Like I said, Sponge on the Run was pretty disappointing, so I'm not like gonna be totally hyped about it. I just think there's a lot of potential in like a Sandy movie, and I really hope that the creators like actually take advantage of that. The other movie that got reviewed is the 4th theatrical SpongeBob movie, which is officially called SpongeBob SquarePants: The Search for SquarePants, which I'm like, okay, that's a pretty redundant title already. We're off to a great start. But what's interesting about this movie is that it's apparently going to be centered around the Flying Dutchman as the antagonist, as SpongeBob has to go into the depths of the ocean to confront the Flying Dutchman, which I'm very interested in as like a plot device because first of all, I was pretty surprised to learn that the Flying Dutchman has not appeared in like any of the movies. Like, I honestly just did not realize that, but now that I think about it, I can't remember seeing the Flying Dutchman in any of the movies. If I'm wrong, then let me know in the comment section below, but I just watched like the first 2 movies. I haven't seen the 3rd one in forever, so maybe the Flying Dutchman had like a cameo in that movie, but I cannot for the life of me ever remember seeing the Flying Dutchman in any of the movies. So that's very fascinating that he hasn't even gotten like a chance to be a part of the movie franchise, because he's such a big character in the SpongeBob franchise. So that just kind of shocks me. So it's about time he's gotten like a movie, and it's also really cool that he's going to be like the main antagonist of it too. I think that's gonna be really cool. The Flying Dutchman is just such a badass character, and he definitely knows how to make a room just creak with fear. And so I think that as a villain, he definitely can be taken seriously and can add some really good stakes to the film as a whole. All right, yeah, that's fine. We did get a sneak peek at this concept art over here the day after it was announced that that was what the film was going to be about. It looks gorgeous, first of all. This looks really great. If the movie looks anything like this, and I'm all for it. It looks like it's going to continue with the same art style as Sponge on the Run. While you may think I might have an issue with that because I've said nothing but bad things about Sponge on the Run so far, if there's one thing I love about that movie, it's his animation style. That Into the Spider-Verse like animation style they had going on for that movie was really good, and that's why I was so disappointed when I didn't like it, because that animation style, it makes it by far the best looking SpongeBob movie. Like, without a question of a doubt, it is my favorite SpongeBob movie animation wise. That movie with such a great and epic visual style came with such a subpar and lukewarm script is one of the most disappointing things in the world, and I'll never get over it. Oh, thanks, Patrick. I did not know that's the direction I had to go. It just needs a really good story to go along with it, and with that art style, you could really like animate the characters' emotions like so super well and really tell something that's really effective, you know, in a way that like I haven't really seen since the first SpongeBob movie, honestly. That first movie, you know, even though it was just 2D, it still managed to show SpongeBob express so much more emotion than the other two movies combined. That's really what I want out of this like fourth movie, is I really want to see SpongeBob's optimistic point of view really get tested. And I feel like the Flying Dutchman is just such a scary and menacing like threat that it's definitely possible. I don't know what kind of story they could tell with the Flying Dutchman at this point. Like, what's he gonna do? Make all Bikini Bottom his slaves? Like, Plankton kind of already did that with Planktopolis, so I'm not really sure if that would be an effective plot. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Now, there is one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to this movie, though. It's the fact that since the Flying Dutchman is the antagonist, it has the potential to tell a very similar story to a certain video game in the SpongeBob catalog, and that is Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which got me thinking, what if the next SpongeBob game in the Purple Lamp lineup decides to use the Flying Dutchman as the main antagonist? They definitely would take the opportunity to coordinate the game in the movie's release. I mean, we've already seen it with Bath Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. They try to release that game at the same time as the movie. Even though they didn't actually do it, it does tell you that like Nickelodeon does like the idea of coordinating SpongeBob's projects together. If Purple Lamp is looking for like some kind of narrative for the next SpongeBob game, it very well could be beneficial to incorporate the Flying Dutchman in a more meaningful way in this next game, which I'm really excited for because I recently played through Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. It is a game that I had a lot of nostalgia for as a kid, but nowadays I'm just like not as crazy about anymore, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. So if Purple Lamp could tell like a better story with the Flying Dutchman and actually give us like good gameplay, I'd be all for it, and then it would really cement the Flying Dutchman's like reputation in the SpongeBob franchise as an effective antagonist, which he desperately deserves. Now, there is a potential idea that this movie could literally just be an adaptation of Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. They might decide not to tell that different of a story. Like, it may literally just be SpongeBob rescuing his friends from the Flying Dutchman, and it really wouldn't be that different from the main video game. So would that mean that they're basically adapting Revenge of the Flying Dutchman into a movie in that case? Because if that's the case, then like that is quite a legacy for that game, I gotta say. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a direct adaptation of that game. I think it's just going to be something that you can definitely say is similar to the game's storyline, but I'm pretty sure they're not intentionally adapting the movie from the game. Like, that's just crazy. I don't think that would be it. I just think it's funny. I think it's a funny coincidence, and I think it's a really fun way to kind of like bring Revenge of the Flying Dutchman back into the discussion. Like, is this a game you all would actually want to see get remade or get revisited in some capacity? Like, I personally wouldn't want to see it remade. I'd want to see Purple Lamp Studios maybe take the concept of the game and just maybe reimagine it in some way. You know, take some ideas from Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, but still make something completely new based off of it. I wouldn't really want to see a Revenge of the Flying Dutchman remake, as funny as some of the dialogue in that game actually is. But that's my thoughts on it. Overall, I think both movies seem pretty interesting. I'm definitely going to check them out when the time comes. I'm just like not going to be super excited about them because Sponge on the Run really did kind of scar me. I really thought that was such a disappointing movie, and I really hope that these movies don't turn out the same way. I think the opportunity is really there to really make Sandy this like really empathetic and rootable character, and I really would want to see like her backstory explored in that way. And I think the Flying Dutchman really deserves like his time of spotlight to be the bad guy. I really think he deserves that moment. And so I hope these movies do well. And, you know, like I said, I would not be surprised if the next SpongeBob game incorporates the Flying Dutchman as a main antagonist. We're not going to get a remake. I will literally eat my shoe if we actually get a remake of Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. But if we get another SpongeBob game with the Flying Dutchman as a major adversary, then it makes just too much logical sense, you know? But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you excited for these movies? Would you want to see a Revenge of the Flying Dutchman remake? Let me know why not? And just, yeah, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to start making more SpongeBob content like regularly. You know, I'm not just going to limit myself to the games anymore. I just love SpongeBob as a whole. So I might start talking more about the TV show and the movies on this channel again. So if you want me to talk about anything specific when it comes to SpongeBob, then let me know in the comment section below. You know, I'm a SpongeBob nerd. I literally am drinking out SpongeBob himself right now. So if you want any SpongeBob content in particular, then let me know in the comment section below. And I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. Let's go. This is the Riders, riding out.